Richard Williamson. I'm an estate planning attorney. This is my 30th year as an attorney. So this video is informational. It's intended to let you know what the basics of estate planning are so that you can use that information either with us or with your own attorney, however you choose. So in the settlement of an estate, there are 5 taxes that you have to pay attention to. The first one is federal estate taxes. That's the good old IRS. The federal estate tax, as I'm doing this video, is $13 million, just a hair under that. You should check to see what it is as you're watching this video, but as I'm watching it in 2023, it's just under $13 million. So that means unless your estate's over $13 million, you're not going to have any federal estate taxes that you have to deal with. California does not have a death tax, so some states have their own version of an estate tax. California does not. So there'd be no federal, no state. Next is income taxes. That's always a worry. So if you've got those 4 beneficiaries, you're dividing up a $400,000 estate hypothetically, and each one of you is getting a check for $100,000, and you're depositing that check into your own checking or savings account. The question is, do you have to pay taxes on that? And the answer is no. That $100,000 is inheritance. It's not wages for income tax purposes. Next is capital gains taxes. So mom and dad hypothetically bought their house for $100,000 way back when, and it's worth $600,000 today. If mom and dad had sold that house while they were alive, there would be a $500,000 capital gain. Now there's some exclusions of things that would apply, but just in the basics, so it's a $100,000 purchase and a $600,000 sale price, $500,000 of capital gain. But for the heirs, as they receive property, you receive it at date of death value, a stepped up basis is what that's called. So that means you get to step the basis, which was the $100,000 in my hypothetical, up to the date of death value. And if that's $600,000, that is now your basis for tax purposes. So in most cases, if you're selling a property in an estate to divide the funds and stuff, there are no capital gains taxes. Now, California is unique in that we have Prop 13. Very big deal here. People who bought houses a long time ago, they got to freeze their property taxes based on their initial purchase price. Now there's variables in there, but that's the gist of it, is they get to freeze their taxes based on their initial purchase price. Why that's important is California is stupid expensive on our houses, so values go way up. So somebody who bought a house at $100,000, that house might be worth $2 million now. So the difference in those two, now we already talked about capital gain, that 1.9 would not be taxable because of the gain, but if you decide to keep the house, the 5th tax that kicks in is going to be property taxes. So until about 2 years ago, most estates and most properties, unless it was a very large estate, would pass from the parents to the children, and the children would keep their parents' Prop 13 tax basis. That was all real nice. That changed in February of 2021, and the voters of California, not knowing what they were doing, narrowed the exclusion from most property to only a very, very small sliver, which is the primary residence of a parent passing to the primary residence of one of their children. That is exempt from reassessment. So that $100,000 property that's assessed at maybe $200,000 currently, that's worth $2 million. If it were from a parent, primary residence, to a child, primary residence, they would keep that old assessed value. That's the only exemption there. Everything else now, and even that has some limits to it. So I did a $2 million, which wasn't appropriate. Let's call it under $1 million. So, but other than that exclusion, pretty much all other real estate that passes from parents to children now gets reassessed. And the reassessed values can be very large, so you have to pay attention to it. But lots of people want to keep the property, and then they realize what the new taxes are going to be, and they just simply say, we can't keep it. It's not affordable with the tax basis going up to that. So that's the 5 taxes. Federal estate with a $13 million exemption, California with no death taxes, Income is money that you get is not income for income tax purposes. If you sell the property or the stock for that matter in the estate, there's no capital gains taxes except for any growth that happened after the date of death. And then California is property taxes, which will get reassessed to current market value with the exception of parent-child on a primary residence. Now, the only place in an estate that you have to pay attention to for taxes is the IRAs, 401ks, tax-deferred annuities. Anything that had a tax-deferred component to it will be taxable. Reason for that is those dollars that went into those types of accounts were all pre-tax dollars. So it doesn't matter who takes it out, whether mom and dad took it out or whether you take it out, doesn't make any difference. Whoever takes it out is going to get taxed on that withdrawal. So those are the exception, but in most cases, there's very few taxes you have to concern yourself with unless you're trying to keep the property, the real estate, and then you got to look at those property taxes and decide, is that something you want to do?